Hello everyone and welcome back to Wireman's Whimsy. I'm going to do something just a little bit different today. We are doing an alternate card using elements from the February 2025 paper pumpkin kit called Hello Spring. But we're going to make it into more of a kind of a junk journal, vintagey kind of card. So I've already made one because I need to know how it was going to go together, but I've got a basic beige card base with one of the card bases from the kit cut down to 5 1/4 by 4. So that's pretty standard size, but I'll just pop a sticker on that so you can see. I'm pulling in the elements of text. I'm using this stamp, and I'm using the mint and the basil stamps from the Grow with Love, the greeting, this piece, and the frame. So from the kit, I am using the card front, and on this one I used the longer of the two kind of frames, but I've already used that one. So this one will just be the same. It's going to be the two put together and you won't see the seam. The colors I'm using for this are Crumb Cake, Pecan Pie, and Basic Beige. And I took a piece of the white 1/2-inch woven ribbon, and instead of using a blending brush or a Stampin' Blends on it, I used my brush with the Crumb Cake, and I just brushed it along. I've still got some ink on this, so it'll show. I just brushed it along just to give it that kind of worn look. So let's get started. I'm going to use Crumb Cake to stamp the two images. So I thought about using the images from the kit, the die cuts that we got. It's just, they're just a little bit green for this, for what I was looking for. So we're going to stamp these two, and I'm just going to, while I've got the ink out, what do I need to do? While I've got this ink out, no, you know what? I'm going to do it step by step because otherwise it'll just be confusing. Okay, so I've got those two stamped. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my card base, and I'm going to use the Pecan Pie, and I'm going to stamp the text in this corner and in this corner, like this. Okay, and then I'm going to take the little, this is from the kit as well. It's those little kind of haptics that kind of almost mimic the design in the paper. Apparently I can't think and act at the same time this morning, so I'm just going to add another one of those. So there we go. Now I'm going to come in with the Crumb Cake and the frame from the set, and I'm going to put one frame like this, and then one frame across the bottom like this. Okay. Then I need to come in with my basic beige, and I'm going to kind of antique. I'm going to add just a little bit of distressing kind of color, a little bit of that vintage vibe. I feel like I should put a tea rose on this, but that's not part of this kit. And I wanted to make, although I've got all kinds of things to do, junk journaling and things like that, I wanted to do this with just elements that you're going to have from your shelf. You don't have to do anything else. You don't have to tear up a book. You don't have to do anything. Okay, I'm going to set that aside. The next thing I need to do is with that same basic beige, I'm going to come in and I'm going to just add a little bit of color to the edge of these kind of frames. So you can see the difference that adding that color makes. And it's just to add interest, add depth, so everything isn't quite so stark. I could also distress the edges of these, but I want them to kind of be a bit of an anchor for this card. Okay, so where am I? Okay, we're going to pull this back in here right away, but we have these two pieces done, so I'm going to put them over here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tear these now. So I'm tearing towards me so I get the raw edge showing. If I were to tear away from me, I'd end up with a flat edge, and I want that raw edge. And I'm tearing it basically in a rectangle, making sure I'm not tearing any of the stamp away. So I've got that piece done. Then I'm going to do the same with this piece. And I've got some early espresso paper that I've already torn, and I just tore it into little strips. And we're just going to keep doing this. And we're just going to keep tearing like that. Okay. And I've got my greeting already stamped and that, but I need to do some little bit of antiquing on this as well. So just coming in, adding that bit of color. And it's fine if you get that kind of that hard edge. Sometimes we start with the brush off the page and bring it in. It's okay in this case. See the difference? Look how more aged that looks than this one. So we're just going to come in, we're going to do the same thing. And I played with the idea of stamping some words with the elements of text stamp on this, but I think I'm just going to leave them kind of plain. And you will get messy fingers because you're adding ink to paper and you're putting your hands on it. It's a little bit damp. So you're going to get messy fingers. So I'm just coming in and I'm adding that. Again, these were stamped in crumb cake, and I'm using the basic beige to kind of ink them up and that. So now we've got all of our elements. We can actually start building the card. And I think, what did I want to do with this instead? Okay, so when I'm doing this, I only tape or adhere down the center so that I can add layers underneath. When you're junk journaling, you want to be able to add layers underneath. So we're going to pop this one up here like this. And we're going to add this one down here like this. So it mimics the one larger one. And this is going to be covered up. Or if it's not covered up, we can just, I think I do need to do it this way. So I'm just going to fold that over like that so that I don't see anything. I don't see that line there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of my stamped elements and I'm going to pop it up over here like this. Okay, then I'm going to take the other one, again only putting adhesive in the middle, and pop it down like this. Okay, then I'm going to cut this piece of ribbon in half, and I'm going to put some adhesive on it. Actually, I'll do that in a bit. I'm going to take these pieces and I'm just going to put adhesive on the back. And I know which is the front because it's got the torn edge on it. And this, I'm going to lift up these. I'm going to lift that up and tuck it underneath. So we've got that little bit of early espresso border down here, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And this is just off the edge, but my straight edge will be hidden, so I'm not worried about it. I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to tuck this under. Again, we leave everything loose at the edge so we can tuck. And I'm going to do this like this. Tighten that down. Okay, I'm going to do some stamping now, and I'm going to take the crumb cake and the little stamp from the set that says "From the Garden of," and I'm just going to ink up the From the Garden Of. I'm not going to ink up the little dots, and I'm just going to pop that down like that. So From the Garden Of. I'm going to do the same thing down here, but I'm going to just kind of ink up From the Garden, and then I'm going to stamp it down like that. It just adds a little bit of interest. If there's kind of a white space and you don't want the white space, just tuck something in. So I'm going to now add in the greeting, and it is going to go right here like this. And then I'm going to take a piece of the, now I can go in with the ribbon. So I'm going to, this is face up. I'm putting some ink on the bottom half of the ribbon, face up, because I'm going to tuck it under the flower, not under the, not under the frame. It's going to sit on top of the frame like that. Okay, and then I've got a bit of excessive glue, so I'm just going to add in, just peel that up a little bit, and I'm going to add in just that piece like that. Okay, and then we're putting this one, sorry, I've covered the card up, down the side here. So it may not fit because I think I'm pretty close with the glue here, but we can always, I'm going to put adhesive on the back of this one so that it doesn't matter where it goes. And I'm going to just have this sit under here. And when you're junk journaling, it's all about the layering. It's all about how you manipulate the pieces. And that's why we leave the edges so that we can lift them. When we're finished, we can go back in and we can adhere them down if we want to. Now I've got a bit more space on this one than I had on this one, so I'm actually going to add in a piece of the early espresso tucked down the side. So I can lift this whole piece up here, tuck that in right to the edge there. So there we go. So that is essentially the card. I need to just mount it now onto my card base. Before I mount it to the card base though, I need to come in. I'm going to come in this case, with the pecan pie, and I'm just going to darken up the edges of the card a little bit. The reason I'm using the pecan pie around the edge is to really kind of frame it and really pop the elements of the card. So just make sure I've got that the right way around. And with this, you can add and add and add. You can just keep going until you think you're finished. In here, I've got a bit more empty space than I'd like, so I'm just going to come in with my blending brush, and I'm going to add just a little bit of ink so it's not quite so stark, but I just want a little bit of ink. I don't want to overwhelm it. There we go. I'm going to do the same thing down here, and see, I overwhelmed it a little bit, but you know what? That's okay. Just keep working it. And now because I did that, I just need to add a little bit more of that color at the top to kind of balance it all out. And there we go. That is our alternate card using the kind of the junk journaling technique, using the February 2025 Paper Pumpkin Kit, as well as the Elements of Text stamp and the Grow with Love stamps. So thank you so much for watching, and let's create together again soon.